Hey Australia, I'm Chelsea Goodwin and you're listening to Mind Over Money.
Well, hello everyone, and hello Chelsea and Tim. If you guys have heard Chelsea's voice before, Chelsea, we've had her on the show a couple of times now, and she's moved to Tasmania and released a new book. So it's great to be chatting again and catching up with what's life like down in Tassie. So how you going, Chelsea?
I am fabulous and a little bit cold today, as you can imagine.
You're not missing those like summer heat nights, sweltering nights in Brizzy?
Not at all. Not at all. Not for even a second.
Well, Chelsea, the big news, I guess, is your new book has been released a couple of months ago, and you've been promoting that and talking about that on TV. We see you everywhere on social media. People are sharing the book and talking about the book. So what's that been like, releasing your second book, and what's the update?
It's exciting. I mean, I think I'm grateful just to have the opportunity to write a second book. So then to see that going out into the stores and into people's homes, it is fantastic. But the part I love the most is when people start cooking the meals. And then I get the feedback, which is always a little bit scary because, you have confidence in what you're doing, but you want people to love the food. So that's the best part for me now, is that I'm getting to see people cook the meals, post them online, give me feedback, show me their clean plates at the end of it, and tell me what their family thought about it. It's fantastic.
Do you ever read online reviews of your books, or is that like a nervous kind of thing to do? Because I'm just seeing 5 stars on Amazon, by the way.
Look, I do. I read them all. Okay. I'm not going to lie. It's because it's important to me, because I think you can't expect that they're all going to be like 100% positive. So sometimes you will get little snippets of constructive criticism that can be really useful as well. So I do really, it's great to get 5-star reviews, of course, but I also read them hoping that I can also get information from readers about maybe if they felt there was anything missing, or if there's anything I could have done better. So it is really important to me. And people are often more honest in an anonymous online review than they will be if they're posting in my Facebook group. So I always keep that in mind as well.
I was about to say, that's probably your bread and butter, coming from the Facebook group where it is a community where everyone's sharing ideas and tweaking recipes and saying, oh, I did this. So I guess that's a different angle coming at how to write a book. And
it is. It's kind of unique to have that community. I think particularly when a lot of, I guess I don't like calling myself an influencer or a content creator, but a lot of people that are in that sphere, they are coming from somewhere like TikTok or Instagram, where it is quite impersonal. Whereas I have this community where, I'll go to events. I did some book events recently, and I recognize the people from my Facebook group that turn up.
That's
so
special.
It's great. And I remember things that they've written and things and meals that they've posted. So it is a great community, and I'm probably the best part of what I do, to be honest.
That's great. Well, one of my favorite recipes from your first book was the butter chicken, the fried butter chicken.
The buttermilk chicken.
That's it. Yes, the buttermilk chicken. My
that's
goodness,
everybody's favorite.
Oh, is it? So, because we've been making that on rotation in our household. What's one of the big hits in this book? Are you allowed to share?
So far it's definitely the creamy garlic chicken, I would say. People love their chicken. What can I say? You can get chicken breast for $9 a kilo. So it's a great budget meal. So I'd say so far the creamy garlic chicken, but that is also, I think, the first meal in the cookbook, or it's in the first. So a lot of people are just cooking that first. People are still working their way through. And it is one of those books where people like to start at the in week 1 and then just work their way through the book. So I haven't seen anybody that's cooked anything from the final meal plan yet. So we'll just have to see. I'll need to give it some time to see what the long-term favorites are, but that's definitely the front runner right now.
Oh,
How many meal plans are in the book, Chelsea?
There are 8 weeks of meal plans. And there's also something that I didn't include in the previous book was a bonus chapter of budget side dishes. So that was just based on feedback that I got from the last book where people were saying, oh, I need to bulk this up because I've got guests coming over. What could I add? So I've added these extra side dishes and actually quite a few additional side dishes in the meal plans as well, just so that people have those options. Okay, if they've got that extra guest, yeah, you can add maybe 200 grams of extra protein, but you might want to cook an extra side dish as well.
I love that in this book too. You've got a full-page image on each meal plan. This delicious image that just is mouth-watering.
Yeah, I think that was born from frustration for me with cookbooks when I was starting, when I go to cook something and they didn't have an image for every recipe, and I need to be able to visualize it. I also want people to have something that because I know people like to make their food look pretty. So if they can try and recreate it in the way that I have, which I mean, it's all very simple plating. It's not, 5-star restaurant, stacked up, gourmet sort of plating. It's very easy to replicate. And so I do find that when I see the pictures of people posting, they are plating it in the same way as the picture, which is really great.
That's cool. I remember you saying, I mean, I know this is not a book writing podcast, but it's just a fascinating kind of subject. And when you wrote the first book, you said how the photo shoot and all that part of it was full on and like a very time crunch and a lot going on. How did you find this shoot? Because obviously it looks even better than before. But did you take some things you learned?
I was so happy with the photos this time round. I was the first time round as well, but I think I worked with the same photographer who is Melissa Darr. She's based in Toowoomba. And I think by the time we did it the second time round, we were just in sync. We know each other really well by now. We've spent a lot of time together in a pretty intense environment. And I also had the advantage of knowing what that process was going to look like and being able to plan a little bit better for this one and just being more confident in the decisions that I was making as far as art direction and how I wanted the photos to look. So I think last time we shot 75 recipes in 9 days. This time we did them in 8 days. So we were able to shave a day off just because we were working a little bit, more in sync.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's fun.
How cheap are these meal plans in your book?
They're pretty cheap. I mean, my first book was an average of $2.50 per serve and under. This book is an average of $3 per serve and under. And I think, we're still very much in budget cooking territory. And I don't think I'll ever veer out of budget cooking territory because that's how I cook at home. But I think part of the reason we went from $2.50 to $3 is obviously cost of living increase over at the time of writing the different books. But also I wanted to be a little bit more adventurous with some of the ingredients we used. And as I said, add more side dishes in. So just having that extra 50-cent buffer allowed me to maybe add an extra side dish or two into that particular week just to make things a bit more interesting and exciting. And I'm finding that people are really loving the side dishes, and even they'll cook their own meal sometimes, but they'll use one of the side dishes from my book, which is great.
So good. I love this book and what you're doing, Chelsea, because it's showing people that they can cook delicious and healthy meals, wholesome meals on a budget and way cheaper than you would dining out or eating out. I mean, last night I was at the airport at midnight and I bought a $9.50 Big Mac, and I can tell you it wasn't great.
No. Well, you see, you need to be making my daughter Evie's easy chicken burgers instead from my week one meal plan. That's her recipe, which actually has been very, very popular, which she's only 14. So this is... Are
you giving her a commission for that chapter or...
Her commission is paying her living expenses. No, she is having praise heaped upon her on a daily basis in my Facebook group. Every time somebody cooks the burger, I show her, and she loves that. But it's so good. Also, I mean, it's such a cheap meal that it just shows you that paying $10 for a burger is ridiculous when you can make probably 4 or 5 of them for that cost.
Especially when they hit and miss in terms of quality and what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly. Like not enough sauce. Like they give you 2 pieces of lettuce. Not okay.
Well, I've also found just the process of cooking at home is a family event and can be, and that's kind of a bonding thing, and then you get to enjoy the thing you created together. So is that kind of what it's like in your household with
it is.
Your kid's a bit older, but
it is. And Evie is such a competent cook now at 14. She's probably a better cook than I was at 24. So it's great to have her to be able to help in the kitchen, but also to be part of that process, because as you said, it is a bonding experience. It does. I think when you cook together and you eat together, there's something really special about that. And I love, that's one of the types of feedback that I really love getting, is when people tell me that their family are more involved in the process when they're using my book, because of the way it's written. The recipes are laid out in a way that, an older child or a beginner cook can just, step by step work their way through them. And they're able to say to their teenager, why don't you start and do the first 3 prep steps for me? And then I'll come in when you're finished, and they can sort of tag team and do bits of the recipe, and or even get their kids to choose which meals they're cooking and put sticky notes in the book. It's really positive.
Yeah, my 7-year-old loves your book. This is where the pictures are great too, because she can look through and be like, I love this one. The only issue is my 3-year-old always wants to crack the eggs, and there's just eggshells and eggs on the table, and I'm like, I want to let them learn, but I don't want to be like munching on eggshells.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because I think they, has age appropriate. I did write a little section about that in my second book, about cooking for all abilities, and there's a section on cooking with children, and about how you can sort of divvy up those tasks in an age appropriate way, and what might be appropriate for children at different levels of development at different ages. And, obviously knives are a big one. I think that people are really scared with kids to know when can I let them cut things or use a sharp knife. But I think that's at each parent's discretion as to when they think that's a good time. But it is, the earlier you can get them in there, the better.
I love the point about the teenagers cooking with you too, because this is a great skill for parents, a really good bonding moment, but also a great skill to teach your kids. We, through our clients, we notice, especially young people, spending a lot on takeaway just because they haven't picked up those cooking skills.
Yeah.
And so, to help your kids, if parents are listening, help your kids financially, one way is to teach them how to cook. And so when they move out of home, they can cook delicious, healthy recipes and create that community, that home in their new home, whether they're moving out to live with some friends and a flatmate, or they're getting married and starting their own family. That process of cooking together is really about family and bonding, but it also saves a lot of money as well. So I think it's a great skill to teach your teenagers. So that's really cool.
Couldn't agree more.
So what would you say, have you noticed recently in Australia? So big comment, but you do have your finger on the pulse, but in terms of people's eating habits, spending habits around food and groceries, have you noticed any big changes since the last book? It's been about about a year and a half.
I think the difference is people are just easing into this new normal of food prices. We're almost resigned to the fact that food prices are rising, and we've accepted it. Whereas maybe a year or two ago, there was still a bit of a panic around it. Now it's just like, okay, this is just the way it is. What are we going to do? Like, we've just got to work with this and figure out how to feed our family with the budget that we have. So I think a lot of people are just really knuckling down to practical solutions and just figuring out what works. We've had a bit of time to adjust now to this, even though it's still horrific going into the supermarket and seeing that item that was $6 last week is now $8.50. That will never be okay. But I think that shock has worn off, and we're used to cutting back now, and we're a bit more used to just changing our habits around grocery shopping.
That's a great point, Chelsea. And it's great to see also there's a bit more competition lately. We've noticed a lot more fruit and veg shops pop up. Markets are getting a stronger audience. More people are showing up to fresh food markets. I guess people are finding ways to save money at the big supermarkets, but also not going to the big supermarkets.
Yeah.
And going to their local discount butcher, going to the local markets, their local fruit and veg shop, and shopping those specials. And finding ways to save money. So it's good. What about like life down in Tassie? Have you noticed? Like I was lucky to come down recently and run into you down there. And it was a beautiful area of Tasmania that you're in. And I did notice how fresh the food was and how cheaper things were. So what's life been like down there in that part of the world? And how's it changed your view around cost of living?
It's changed. It's changed a lot. I live now in the middle of a food bowl. So going from inner city Brisbane to being in a rural town, the town I live in, I think we've got a population of just over 1,000. And in this beautiful area called the Huon Valley, which we're just southwest of Hobart. And we have access to the most gorgeous, fresh, I can't even describe it. I've never been this excited about vegetables in my life. I'll tell you that and fruit. But I think people eat differently down here. It's very much based around the seasons because people do try and buy their vegetables locally. And I've noticed that, for convenience, I probably did around 85% of my total food shop when I was in Brisbane at the major supermarkets. Now I would say I do less than 50%. So that is how my shopping habits have changed since I've moved down here. I get a produce box from a local farm that I pick up, and I buy at the market. I buy from roadside stalls, which are everywhere around here. We have you can get pastries, you can get fruit, vegetables, honey, relish, anything you can think of, they sell at a roadside stall. And I've got all of these great products at my fingertips, but you find that if you are buying seasonally and local here, it's often cheaper than what I'd get at Woolworths. So yeah, it's a win-win.
It's a great part of the world. I love driving through all the apple farms, and you pop over, have a cider somewhere, and then you see apples sitting on the side of the road.
I know. And berry and cherry season down here is just incredible. I can't wait. I'm just waiting for spring now to come to get all the different produce.
And you're not far from Hobart. You're only 20 minutes or so. So a lot of young people I think are looking to move out of the cities now and live in these rural, but you can't really call them rural. It's more regional areas where you have all the same good facilities. You've got doctors, you've got a Coles and Woolies not too far away. And you've got the city very close by and the airport close by. And you can live a really great life. Just that little click out of the city and completely change your living standards, but also your lifestyle. And I think a lot of young Australians are realizing that now, that maybe being in the city is not best for them.
Exactly. And I think as long as you can make it work with whatever your career is, I think that is the roadblock for a lot of people, because they're thinking, but will I get a job, or can I earn as much if I'm in a regional area? And I think you've really got to weigh up just overall the cost of living, because I found, I'm spending probably about the same or a little bit less on food down here, but everything else is cheaper. Everything. And when you add it all up, it's just, I have the, the privilege of being able to work from home. So that's not a factor for me in as far as where I live. But even if I was still doing sort of working in a corporate job, I guarantee you I'd be better off here.
Yeah, okay. And how are your kids finding the school down there?
Oh, they love it. They love it. And that was something I was so worried about, because again, there's not as many options down here. The schools are obviously smaller, but we've been very lucky in finding two sort of independent schools that my two teenagers who are still in school are going to, that are just perfect for them. They are loving going to school. Actually, my son right now is just waiting for me to drop him off. He's so excited about going to school. Whereas before we were dealing with school refusal and all sorts of things. So this is, definitely makes me very, very happy as a parent.
So good.
Just the very last thing, so obviously the book's out there, where can people follow you online or join one of your communities? Because I think that's such a vibrant part of what you do, because that's really where you started.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, depending on what platform you're on, I'm on Instagram. You can find me there, $dollar meal, or just look up my name, Chelsea Goodwin. I'm also on Facebook, and that's where I always recommend people go first, because that's where I'm most active. My Facebook community is called $10 Meals Australia. We're a really positive, welcoming community, and I'm in there all the time for people that have questions about recipes, cooking, or really anything. So yeah, please join me in there.
Well done on book number 2. Looking forward to number 3, even though
we'll see.
Even more meal fans of Chelsea. No, but no, well done, and it's such a great book, and it's helped our family as well fall in love with cooking and a whole different styles. So I really appreciate what you do, and it's definitely having a good impact on Australia, and I'm sure we're going to hear from you soon again. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Lachy.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Chelsea. All right, see you guys.